Tote Plus, 10% more on your winners when you bet at tote.ie.
Well, hi there and welcome to Galway this Wednesday. A few clouds in the air, but generally blue skies, and we're really looking forward to Tote Galway Plate Day. Joined here for our preview this afternoon, firstly by Lisa O'Neill. How are you, Lisa? I believe you've had a quiet enough summer actually this year.
Yeah, quiet enough, but yeah, keep myself taking over, and it's good to be here.
Absolutely. Paddy Flood as well, usual Tote ambassador, always good for a day out during Galway. How are you keeping?
In good form, Thom. Yeah, thanks.
And of course Danny Mullins as well. Unfortunately, Danny, you're clearly not riding today. It's quite the apparatus you're in. How long will you be in that for? And
yeah, so I had a fall 2 weeks ago and maybe another 6 weeks in this, but recovery's going well, and we're glad to be here to do a bit of work and keep us all going.
And I mean, the Galway Plate, it's a race. Unfortunately, I don't really want to mention this, but none of our panel have won, but you've come close on a couple of occasions, both you guys. Danny, your closest was second?
I was third in it last year. I think I might have been second another year. It's a very unique race. You need a good horse to go around, and I suppose horses with track form is a big advantage in it as well.
And Paddy, you say you finished second in a couple of years ago?
Third
as well.
For Pat Fahey, I think, Western Boy. Good ride around, was the only good ride I had in it. It was a race I didn't really like riding in, to be honest. It's tricky. It's probably the most important start in a race of the year, really, because it all gets a little bit of a bottleneck over here at the first fence, and everybody wants to be in the van.
Yeah, that first fence is definitely one of the most exciting fences in Irish racing. Like the people that will be here and on that stand, there's no cover on the stand, but it's one you'd definitely go out and brave the elements for. That's proper exciting viewing.
And I suppose, why is that start so important? What is in that run up to that first fence?
That fence there, the first fence, when you're actually starting looking at the parade ring here, and the fence is on a little bit of a bend. So you're going to it, and you've 20 odd runners, and it becomes a bottleneck. And if you miss the first, you could end up out the back, and you can't win a plate from the back.
I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, Lisa, over the years, Calentra have had plenty of winners come and take the Galway Plate. Any sort of favourite memories from your favourite horses that you were involved in over the years?
No, personally, there's been plenty of highlights for Calentra stables. Personally, myself, I think I led down to the last and fell at the last for the one time I did have a ride in the Galway Plate. So I got a great spin around, obviously just apart from the blip at the last. It would have been nice to get over, but no, as Paddy was alluding to, like that first fence, there's a lot of hustle and bustle to, I suppose, brake smartly and try and get up in the van and get a nice posse and get into a rhythm.
I suppose when you look at today's race, I mean, when you look down to the card, is that one of the first things you look for? Is it, this horse, look, he likes to be prominent throughout, etc. Is that the first place you go if you're sort of thinking who might win this race? Yeah,
I suppose Galway, it can pay to be up very handy and get into a rhythm, as I said before, but there's plenty of horses that have come from off the pace as well, and like that hill towards the finish post can it can definitely defeat a lot of horses.
I mean, when we look to today's race, it's an incredibly classy renewal. Again, Lisa, going to come to you because I don't think there's too many people that would have predicted Samco's career would kind of end up with him kind of top weight in the Galway Plate a couple of years ago, but it just, I suppose, shows the quality of the race maybe, and a slight sort of dig at how Samco's life has gone maybe post that Cheltenham win a couple of years ago.
Yeah, obviously, like he has to concede top weight here today. He's a classy individual. He's a dual Cheltenham Festival winner, so like he does have the class. It's just, does he retain that ability is the question. And personally, I would love to see him bounce back to form. He was a winner on his debut this season, and then he failed to back that up in Killarney. But it'd be really nice to see him even finish in the placings, to be fair.
Yeah, it would be quite a comeback, wouldn't it, Pat?
Yeah, you'd love to see him do it. I don't think he will. I don't know about Julie, but I don't think he'll have the heart for a plate. He is classy, but if you get stuck in the middle of him, I think he might just throw in the towel. He was good first time out this year, but I was disappointed with him the last day.
Yeah, I was disappointed with him a bit as well, but we live in hope.
I mean, he has just been a little bit inconsistent in his latter years. But Danny, just when you say, okay, maybe Samco doesn't have what it takes to win a plate, what does it really take to win a plate? You've spoken about the early position, how key that is. After that, what's the most important thing beyond a bit of luck?
Yeah, I suppose you need to get in an early position, but then once you turn down the far side, the tight right hand bend, and most of your early jumping is done all the way down the far side. You need a horse that can jump. Any horse that's making mistakes at that part of the race, It's just burning petrol that you need late on coming up to the finish. And you know, too much weight in a race like this, it can be detrimental to you late on as well. I think ideally an unexposed type who has maybe got in without the handicapper getting a hold of him yet. Typically a good jumping novice can win this type of race.
Yeah, I mean, and there are quite a few in there as well. Maybe just talk about then, you've spoken about sort of the first lap and you get jumping down the back. Those two, you know, what would be the second last and the second circuit. When you come past them, you know, going past the finishing top post first time round, what are you sort of thinking about then? Is there a chance to maybe get a position if you have maybe missed the start but jumped around okay the back?
Yeah, I suppose going down into the dip, you need a horse that'll freewheel into the dip. If you have to chase them down the hill, it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to come back up the hill as well. You know, there are two tricky fences down there, they come up fast, but generally you know your fate at that stage. If you haven't jumped well down the far side, you're probably in trouble at that stage. You're going to be on a wing and a prayer to rely on jumps to put you in a winning position at that point.
Part of a really strong field assembled for the for this year's Tote Galway plate. And Lisa, maybe just obviously we hope Samcro runs well, but what else is really catching your eye? And like, it's a deep race, Group 1, Grade 1 winners in it as well. Like, it's a quality field.
It is, it's definitely a quality field. I actually really fancy connections of last year's winner early doors for Top Moon to come out in front today. He was a winner at Wexford last time out, and he's obviously the choice of Mark Walsh. He seems to have got in with a nice weight, and yeah, I think he should be there and be in contention coming up that hill.
Yeah, and I suppose as well, kind of a lot of the horses he beat have turned up here as well, so it's it probably looks like a strong bit of form. I mean, Wexford into Galway, is it kind of an ideal, well, it's just the obvious kind of summer route, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose Wexford, it's the new track down there, it's up and down and fences come at you quick. It's a good test of a horse. The one I'm liking in this race, actually another McManus horse, and I suppose they target this race with these types, is Off You Go for Cathal Burns here. Jody McGarvey rides him. It was sixth the last time in the Irish National, so stamina is no issue, and had won the Leopardstown Chase previous to that. Had been a bit disappointing a few times before, but when there's a big prize on offer, they seem to come together. Yeah,
and I suppose maybe look through some of the Willie Mullins one as well. Obviously a stable you're very familiar with. I mean, Royal Rendezvous is sort of the shortest price of them. What you going to make of his chances, and maybe is he the best of the most obvious Mullins?
I think he's the most likely winner of the race for Willie. He was second here last year. He's shown he likes the course. He's a strong stayer. He won quite well the last day. I was lucky enough to ride him in Ballinrobe in a hurdle race, so looks an ideal prep. He hasn't gone up much in the handicap. He's only a few pounds up since last year, and yeah, I think he's got a big chance. Paul Townend has stuck with him again. The only negative is 11 stone 5 here for him, but I think he's got a great chance in it. Brahma Bull is short enough in the betting as well. Jack Foley rides him. Jumping issues would be the serious question mark for him.
Just one thing on jumping issues, because people will say, oh well, the last is actually a long way from home, but is it a more case the damage is done long before that if you're not a great jumper here?
Yeah, you know, it's a summer handicap chase. You're just moving so fast. If you're missing fences on the first circuit or even going down the side on the second circuit, you're just having to make up a length every time, and that just really knocks the stuffing out of them by the time they got to climb the hill. If one can travel very easily, well then maybe they can just nurse them around, but it's still difficult around Galway.
Yeah, fair enough. Paddy, what about you? Have you picked us a couple here? You got some very nicely written notes there, so hopefully you've got really good homework done.
I think Lisa was looking over my shoulder because I've picked Top Moon as well. Obviously Mark Walsh has picked him. He would have had a pick of 3 or 4. What you were saying earlier with Danny, what are you looking for in this race? You're kind of hoping you might see a graded horse in time, and this guy's got 10-9, and I'm banking on that there's a lot of improvement in him. He's ran an Irish National, albeit he pulled up, but he has a big handicap experience. Winning in Wexford, okay, good ground. It's a better race today, obviously, but he's hitting form at the right time. Mark's picked him, JP likes the race. You know, Joseph can train the winner of it too, so yeah. You know, it's all thumbs up for him.
And that you mentioned that big handicap experience, like say some of the novices maybe to come out, they're maybe used to maybe smaller fields and bossing things a little bit. How important is that, just big field experience, maybe 30 odd horses around you at Fairways?
It is. You think, you know, you think of the Tour de France, you wouldn't just run into a peloton, you know, if you're just cycling your bike at home, you know, so it will definitely help him. Yeah, and he is the pick for me, but I think Joseph's other horse, Tarasso, is hitting form at the right time. A lot of weight, and he could be an each way bet.
Okie doke. Lisa, anything else for you beyond Top Moon? Anything at bigger prices, perhaps? Just.
I actually like the look of Snugsborough Hall. Gets in off a nice weight. Liam Cusack's horses tend to run very well in this race. He had a nice run under Anya O'Connor the last day in Killarney, and I think he might just be prepped well for this race.
Yeah, absolutely. I've a soft spot for Sugsborough Hall as well. So let's just get our selections then for the Tote Galway plate. So let's go from the top. Lisa, with you.
Top Moon.
Paddy.
Top Moon.
Danny.
Royal Rendezvous.
And I have a very soft spot for Sam Crow still. I believe. I know none of you believe, but I can't not back my
You need to
25 to
believe.
1.
It's a great game of dreams.
Exactly. We're just going to look ahead to some of the other races on the card here, the Tote sponsored card, the Arstein Farms EBF Mares Handicap Hurdle. We get things underway there, and Paddy and Lisa, you both got a fancy one in this, but I don't think you're copying homework this time, Lisa, so we'll start with you.
I'm actually going to go for a horse which is local to me at home called Loudest Whisper for Eamon Delaney. Won the last time in Bellewstown over 3 miles, so it's dropping back in trip today. It's had 2 previous runs over hurdles in Galway and was first and second on both occasions, so it's track form which stands very well here, and I think she's a filly getting in off a nice weight, and I think we have Simon Torrance claiming 3 as well. So
yeah, and I mean the day she won in Bellewstown, she'd run the previous day as well.
Yeah,
she's
genuine.
a hardy filly.
Yeah, you can't beat a good woman.
Yeah, no doubt. And Paddy, who do you think is going to beat Loudest Whisper?
Valentina Lady for me for the Nolans. Paul, as I well know, can train a winner around here. I won the Galway Hurl from, and for the owner as well, many moons ago. But this filly, nicely bred Oscar filly, like Lisa's tip, is coming back in trip. Had a run over 2.5. Fell in a runny handicap start, but came back out and won after it. So I think there's a lot of improvement there. She's a 7-year-old, so she should be able for the hustle and bustle, you know.
Good stuff. We'll move on to then the 510. It's the Tote Play Spot Pays More Novice Hurdle listed contest. And Danny, one you're familiar with here, Dark Voyager runs. I think you won last time out.
Yeah, I rode him last time in Tipperary. He won by 20 lengths that day. He absolutely bolted up. It was probably a weak enough race, but it looked like the horse that he promised to be earlier in his career. His first run over hurdles, he was behind Zanahir in a maiden hurdle in Ballinrobe, and he was just a very good juvenile through the winter. If he's back to showing that kind of level of form, you'd like to think he could win this, but it's much more competitive than Tipperary. There's plenty of others. The De Bromhead and the Cullentra horse will give him plenty to think about as well.
Yeah, what any thoughts on Off Urocco, Lisa, the Jack Kennedy's mount here?
Yeah, Off Urocco, he won his bumper in Downpatrick, so he's able to handle the undulations which he will have here today. He was a winner in Killarney on his last run in a maiden hurl, so he's obviously the less experienced of the fields, but I'm full confidence that he's got plenty of ability, and his half sister actually runs later on in the bumper as well.
Oh, good stuff. Lisa, you actually have 2 rides later on the card, so why don't you go through those? White Quarry Rose there in the 7:45, the Arstein Farms EBF Mares race at 7:45. What do you make of her chances?
Yeah, I must meet filly, first time out for Kevin Smith. I sat on her during the week, and she seems to be in good order, goes well and travels quite well, so we'll see what she finds up the hill.
Good stuff. And then later on you've got Easy Tiger Bandit as well there for the Shark in the last.
Yeah, Shark's horses are in great form, so yeah, he'll be hopeful of a big run.
Okie doke. I think the lads are going to put something up against you in the last, are you? You fancy?
Yeah, I think Merlin Giant for Emmett Mullins, and Patrick Mullins takes the ride on this. The fact that Patrick has not ridden for Willie in this and is going with Emmett's one is a tip in itself. A good run in the Land Rover bumper. That's strong winter form coming into a race this time of the year. But having said that, it is a competitive race. I'll go with Merlin Giant. The fact that the vibes are very strong coming from the stable, but you know there's plenty others with place forms quite strong in the race too.
Paddy, you actually fancy one the bumper as well? Is it the same horse?
Not the same horse, no. It's Peter Fahey's Asperity. Derek O'Connor rides it. Second on its only start in Down Royal. Real good run, and you know Derek O'Connor's booked, so you've got to stand up and take notice of that. And Peter's horse has been running well here all week.
Yeah, absolutely. And Danny, anything else you fancy throughout the card there on those other races?
There's actually in the handicap chase one that's only got in late is Grange Walk, the first reserve. There's a couple of non-runners there John Ryan trains this one. John's horses have been in
Absolutely
fantastic
flying
form.
all summer, aren't they?
And while it's this guy's first run in a handicap, he jumped very sharp with me in Limerick to win only a fortnight ago. And I think off 10 stone here, Simon Torrance takes a valuable 3 off as well. He's only going to be carrying 9-11 going around, and I think he could be a very solid each way bet. You know, he might be double figure odds still.
Yeah, it's Grange Walk there at a 7:15. But just a quick recap. So you give your selection for the plate, and then one other selection elsewhere on the card. So in the plate, you're going with
Royal Rendezvous to win the place, Maryland Giant to win the bumper, and sure, go for the treble with big odds, and you'll have a right night after Grange Walk wins the
Grange
handicap
Walk
chase.
at a 7:15. Right, Paddy, go on.
Top
in
Moon
the plate.
in the plate, Valentina Lady in the first race, and Peter Fatty's horse in the bumper, which is called
Asperity.
Asperity.
Yeah.
And Lisa, apart from obviously the double you're going to have in the last 2 races, the plate and anything else?
Top Moon, same as Paddy in the plate, and for me, Loudest Whisper in the first.
Good stuff. I'd love to see Loudest Whisper win as well, and maybe Sam Crow in the plate too. Anyway, thanks a million for joining us here at Galway on Tote Galway Plate Day.
Tote Plus, 10% more on your winners when you bet at tote.ie.